Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Heather.
It makes me wish I kept up with my flute lessons. Sorry, Mom, I did not. Good morning, everyone. I'm Heather. I'm one of the pastors here, and we're glad you're here today. I want to wish the moms out here a happy Mother's Day. While recognizing, thank you. While recognizing that Mother's Day can mean a different thing to people depending where you are, and it could mean an absence. So we see you, we love you, and we hope we know today is going to be a gift to you. So relax, have a wonderful morning, and let me just tell you about a few things that are happening. I don't want the gentlemen to feel left out, so I am going to do one more shout out for the man camp that's coming up this Saturday. Yes, we have some enthusiastic gentlemen that are going. It is right around the corner from here. Today's the last day to sign up for that. We have about 25 men signed up. There's going to be great food, great speakers, and great opportunity to meet some other guys. So we hope if you've been thinking about it today, you'll say, I'm in. And wouldn't it be great if we had a weekend like this weekend, next weekend? So, and tailing them is women's retreat. So they call theirs a camp, we call ours a getaway. And it's in September. We will not be camping. We have bedrooms with private bathrooms. So we would love for you to come. We're calling it Seasons of Faith. It doesn't matter what season of life you're in, what season of faith you're in. We want you to join us for a weekend. We go to a place in Sharon. You can come for the day on Saturday. You can come for the whole weekend. But we have a table out there that a lot of men have gone to because we have candy, Cliff. But please go over, talk to a few of the women that are part of that, and we hope you can join us this year. We're really looking forward to it. What is next? Does anyone, parents out there, have a difficult time talking about faith at home? We have, just this past week, I was with two moms that said, I don't really know how to talk about it at home. They go to Kids Zone or they go to youth group, but how do we talk about faith at home? Well, you're in luck because this Thursday, the NEC Moms group is doing the topic of faith at home, how to talk to your kids about God. And our own Joy Moon, Kids Zone director, will be leading that. This is a great chance for moms to get together, talk about topics that matter. And this one's an important one. So we hope you can join us. That's this Thursday night. And last but not least, Prayer Sunday is next week. I say this all the time. We pray every Sunday, and every day of the week, actually. But on Prayer Sunday, our prayer team gets together and invites anyone who would like to join them in between services to come together and pray about different things. They're praying for food insecurity in Franklin. They're praying for you. I know there's a lot of people that are looking for jobs or praying for that. We are, as a staff, elder, and a community, praying for the youth pastor position. This is a great way to get connected and to support one another in prayer. So please put it on your calendar, maybe stay behind next week for a little bit and join them for that. So, all right, have a great morning. Jeff, to you. All right.
Thank you, Heather. We're in the fifth week of a series called The Art of Missing the Point. We've been looking at ways that both the church and society have kind of gotten off track in regard to some important facets of life. And today we're going to be talking about money, and specifically Jesus, and how he was really sort of ahead of his time when it came to possessions, generosity, and all that entails. And one thing that sort of struck me when I look back at the different times that Jesus talked about giving, or that he himself gave, is that he gave very freely, and he didn't do it to get something out of it or expect anything in return, unlike maybe some of us. Who aren't as perfect as Jesus. We sometimes do things with ulterior motives. Jesus was just, what does this person need, and giving in that instance. So we'll be delving into that today. To begin our time, if you'd please stand and join us in singing our second song, Holy, Holy, Holy.
Early in the morning, our song will rise to thee.
You may be seated.
You can hold my hand when you need to let go. I can be your mountain when you're feeling valley low. I can be your street light, showing you the way home. If you hold my hand when you need to let go. I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us fight for this world long as we are able, and bring us back together when the day is done. If we want a garden, we're gonna have to sow the seed, plant a little happiness, let the roots run deep. If it's love that we give, then it's love that we reap. If we want a garden, we're gonna have to sow the seed. And I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us fight for this world long as we are able, and bring us back together when the day is done. The door is always open, there's a pathway, not a wall. Everyone's a little broken, and everyone belongs. Yeah, everyone belongs. I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us fight for this world long as we are able, and bring us back together when the day is done. And bring us back together when the day is done.
Thanks, gang. I've never heard that song before. It's pretty good. Not to put you guys on the spot, do you realize we have 3 of the Levitt family here? Yeah. Morning, everyone. If this is your first time, my name is Mike. I'm one of the pastors here, and we're doing this really fun series, for me at least. Hopefully it's as fun for you, where it's called The Art of Missing the Point, and we're taking a look at these really like big but basic topics, and looking at how the church often misses the point, and maybe culture misses the point, or we can miss the point, and what is the real point, and how that point for each of those things is usually a really life-giving, transformative thing. I've saved the probably two most emotionally charged topics for this week and last week, and I didn't tell you about it because I wanted you to show up. This week is money, but don't worry, I'm not going to ask for any of it, all right? I'm not going to, there's no, like, we're not going to pass the plate. We've never passed the plate ever. We're not going to say, please give to the church. It has nothing to do with our budget. This completely has to do with faith and life. Next week is hell. And I equally promise I'm not going to tell you you're all going to hell, okay? These are actually two of the biggest topics where we really missed the point on. The church has missed the point in serious ways, and we as human beings can easily miss the point on these things. And so that's this week and next week. And so I want to dive into this week's by looking at kind of something that you could see in sort of pop psychology. Maybe you've came across this in therapy if you're in counseling, or if you're in the corporate world. Oftentimes, business coaches or consultants or some kind of training will include talks about what I'm gonna intro, and it's around the idea of mindsets. And specifically, there are usually these two mindsets that are contrasted. Scarcity mindset, and scarcity mindset is the idea that there's a fixed amount of pie for everybody, and you get one slice. And so you want to make your slice as big as possible. But that means if the pie is fixed, that means if you're taking some, others get less. And so you got to sort of hedge that out if you want more, because other people are trying to take more. And so scarcity mindset is the pie's fixed, try to get the biggest slice. Abundant mindset is let's all take as big a slice as we possibly can, because the pie always gets bigger. And there's always room, more possibilities, more opportunities, more wealth. And so those are the two mindsets that I want to contrast. And I have this little graph here. And I want to ask yourself, where do you fall? Like, you're probably not in completely scarcity mindset or completely abundant mindset, but where's most of your check marks when it comes to this? So a scarcity mindset has a sense of entitlement, like, hey, I got to take what I can get. I got to take what's coming to me. Where abundance mindset has a sense of gratitude. I'm grateful for all that I have. I'm grateful for these opportunities. I'm grateful for the people around me. Scarcity mindset often is quick to criticize, because if you criticize someone, that means they're in the wrong, you're in the right, you have more opportunity, your slice of pie can get bigger. Where abundance mindset, you're quick to compliment. Can you believe the job that she did or he did, or and it sort of deflects some praise and props. Scarcity mindset has a tendency to hold a grudge. Because if you wronged me or my project or my family, you're putting my slice of pie at risk. And so scarcity mindset is quick to hold a grudge. Abundance mindset is quick to forgive others. Scarcity mindset blames others for failures. So, it wasn't a bad sermon wasn't my fault. The band really set me up poorly, or the lighting just didn't do me justice. It wasn't the fact that I failed to prepare properly and didn't spend a lot of time putting this together. No, I did spend a lot of time putting this together, so that's just an illustration. Abundance mindset accepts responsibility and admits failure. Hey, look, that's my bad. Scarcity mindset, this was interesting to me. I didn't realize that this was actually a piece, but it was almost in every list I looked at. Impulsivity, this sort of fly by the seat of your pants, as opposed to abundant mindset that is very intentional, is sort of why-driven. What's the desired outcome? What do we expect from this? So it's hey, let's just do this because the opportunity's here, rather than what's the why behind this? Scarcity mindset often has ego attached with it, because ego and fear like to sleep together. So I have what I need to know. I can make the decision. I know. You don't want to ask input from others, because that gives them leverage or opens you up for risk. And so you know it all. Abundance mindset is a continual learner. Look, I don't know it all. And even though I might be an expert in this general area, I'm still going to look for inputs, because there could be trends or information or data that I don't understand or I'm not aware of. Scarcity mindset. You secretly hope others fail. Why? So you can capitalize it and expand your slice of pie. Abundance mindset. You openly want others to succeed. Hey, the more we all do well, the more the better each person does, the better the whole team does. And my success is helped by your success. Scarcity mindset is you hoard information and you hoard control, because giving that up might put your slice of pie at risk. Abundance mindset is you share information and share control. So don't raise your hand if you're scarcity or abundant, but how do you rate yourself? Which category do you fall into most? You can get rid of that. But as I was looking at the sites, I came across just a short paragraph for each one that I wanted to read a little bit. This is from a business coaching website. People with scarcity mentality tend to see the world in terms of win-lose. Either I win or I lose. While it's often not about being malicious, it manifests in negative cultures. And you can understand this, that if you had a boss with a scarce mindset, then they're developing alliances, and there's politics and there's competition, where if you have a boss with an abundant mindset, it's like they're trying to foster the best in everyone. I got off the quote, sorry. People with this mindset typically hold on to knowledge, resources, people, and staff with a tight rein. They find it difficult to share recognition, power, or profit. They keep things close and small because they can control or influence the situation with ease. Does that describe you or someone you know? Chances are, I imagine if you are in a scarcity mindset, it's hard to self-diagnose. So ask someone you know and love. Moms, you get a free pass today. By the way, I didn't say Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. So conversely, people with an abundant mentality see life as win-win. If you win, I win. If I win, you win. Instead of win-lose. They're generally happy for the successes, well-beings, achievements, recognition, and good fortune of other people. They go out of the way to help others and contribute to their success, because in doing so, they believe that everybody achieves more. People with abundance mentality operate from, this is where it starts to tiptoe towards faith. People with an abundance mentality operate from a sense of worth and security. Worth and security. If you feel like you have a strong, confident identity, and you know who you are and you know why you are who you are, and you have a sense of security, then you can live out this from this sort of secure core. They typically adopt a bigger outlook on life and the world, and consequently generate new opportunities and new possibilities, and the pie gets bigger. Why am I talking about scarcity and abundance? Because really, at the heart of the Christian faith, God gives us this idea of abundance. And to exercise faith as a way of life, according to Jesus, according to the early church, according to the Old Testament, is to live in a way of abundance that God has called us into. And I talk about this nearly every week, but it all starts in the first book of the Bible. In the first book of the Bible, it lays out sort of our purpose statement, that God created this amazing world, and he invites us into it. He literally says, I am making you like me so you can help me steward and rule this planet Earth and bring thriving and possibility and flourishing wherever you go. So we're called into that. That's sort of our family business. We're called into abundance. This entire world is God's. And he's like, woo, you're a project manager. You're a project manager in the little spot of life that you live in. And we're called to live into that sort of abundant mindset, to create, to grow, to sustain, to administrate, to organize. And when we do those things, we're imaging God. And God calls us to, literally it's a command in Genesis, to cause flourishings and multiplication and thriving. So God invites us into this abundant mindset right from the get-go. It's the purpose of the human race is to thrive, is to cause thriving, is to cause all these good values like love, generosity, compassion, kindness, respect, all these things to permeate and prevail, all right? So we're called into that. And then Later on, Jesus, God in human flesh, shows us what that looks like. And if you look at how Jesus treated religious people, and you look at how Jesus treated sinners, you will see an abundant mindset. You'll see actually that he is after the thriving of everyone, regardless of how close they feel or how much they believe in God. And he teaches the same thing that he models. He teaches this abundant mindset. Actually, one of my favorite verses that in Jesus' teachings is John 10:10. I have come that you might have life abundantly. There it is again. So it's in the Old Testament. It's our purpose statement grounded in Genesis. Jesus models it. Jesus he teaches it. He provides for it in his death and resurrection that brings forgiveness and connection with God. And then the early church really roots itself in this abundant mindset. But they don't use the word abundant. In several places in the New Testament, there's this really cool concept. It's going to seem really weird to you when I say this word, but men, women, and children are called into this thing in the early church. They call it sonship. And we don't understand sonship because we live in 2023. But the idea of sonship is really rooted in sort of the first century Greco-Roman world where everything was passed down by the firstborns to the firstborn son. And so, sorry secondborns, sorry women, it was a father to oldest son culture back then. And the early church sees this in action. It sees that, for instance, there are actually Roman emperors, right? So like top dogs who don't have an heir, and they're going to be without a son. And so what do? They literally adopt a nephew, adopt a nephew, and they become a son, and they become an heir. And the inheritance and the name and the authority and the power of the dad gets imbued upon that adopted child. That is the idea of sonship that the early Christian church borrows for describing our relationship with God, our connection with God. That you are adopted into this sonship, this firstborn, men, women, and children. We're all into this sonship. We're all heirs. We all have God's inheritance, God's name, God's authority, God's power that we're a part of. It's a very robust way of life that is described in the early church. And it's a description that is meant for us today in Franklin in 2023. We're called into this abundant living. We were never meant to live protective and scared and whatever this is. Mine? Threatened, yeah. And so, when it comes to money, when it comes to wealth, it becomes almost just like a dashboard light. Money and wealth is not evil. Money and wealth is not bad at all. It's currency for everyday life. It's currency for thriving and flourishing. It can be used for immense good. It can be used to create all kinds of celebration and worship, right? This is a little bit aside. You're getting more Old Testament than you need or deserve this morning. But in the early understandings of the word tithe in the Bible, it was this. It's such a cool concept. The first kind of understandings of tithe is found in Deuteronomy, where God says, take a tenth of your harvest. So there was no money back then, no banks back then, so your wealth was generated in your crops. If you had a vineyard, or if you had a wheat field, or if you had a garden, or whatever, it was generated in your harvest. And so you would take 10% of your harvest, and you would take it to So today you would take it to 300 East Central Street, and you would just party. You would just celebrate. You would eat it and drink it and enjoy it and have this big sort of celebration with people. That was the tithe to God. In fact, one of my favorite all-time verses in the Old Testament is this: if you're too far away from the temple, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take your harvest and exchange it for silver. Take that silver and go to the temple area and then buy whatever you want. Buy the prime rib. Splurge for the whatever, this, that, or the other thing. You know, I won't start sharing my preferences. It says literally buy whatever meat, drink, food you want, and just enjoy yourself in front of God. That was the original. This is a rabbit trail. I just tacked 3 minutes onto my sermon. Sorry, but all this say is money's neutral, okay? And money is meant to do good things and enjoy, but money is a little dashboard light, and it can flash green, you're living in abundance, or red, you're living in scarcity. It's a litmus test for scarcity versus abundant mindset. And that's a really long introduction to a very short but simple passage that we're going to look at right now. And this is the Sermon on the Mount. So the Sermon on the Mount says this: don't hoard treasure down here where it gets eaten by moths and corroded by rust, or worse, stolen by burglars. There was no digital currency or anything like that. Stockpile treasure in heaven where it's safe from moth and rust and burglars. It's obvious, isn't it? The place where your treasure is the place where you most want to be and end up being. Let me pause here before we go any further in this. And so how do you lay up treasures, and how do you store up treasures in heaven? Is it you jam the contribution box at New England Chapel? No, actually. Giving to the church is not storing up treasures in heaven. It actually can be, so elders don't get mad at me. Sorry, we just had a budget meeting. It doesn't, storing up treasures in heaven doesn't mean giving it all to the church. What it means is, instead of just taking your own human nature and figuring out in a scarce mindset how much you want to keep, is you open all your life up to God, knowing that you are called, adopted into this amazing thing where everything's God's already, and God gives you so much goodness to steward that you open yourself up and let God lead and guide you with your resources. That's what storing up treasures in heaven is. It's not shotgunning a $100 bill into the sky. You know, it has nothing to do with like there's no bank in heaven. Laying up treasures in heaven meaning along with your heart, mind, soul, offer up your resources to God and see what happens. And so let's keep going. This is where we really start to see the abundant scarcity idea here. Many, 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 many years before it emerged in psychology. Your eyes are windows into your body. If you open your eyes wide in wonder and belief, your body's filled up with light. If you live squinty-eyed in greed and distrust, your body is a musty cellar. It's an interesting metaphor. So basically, scarcity will erode your peace. Scarcity will actually erode your happiness. If you pull the blinds on your window, what a dark life you will have. And then Jesus says this really interesting thing that has really confounded me, and I spent a lot of time this week studying it, and I still haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm going to give you my best shot. Jesus says this: you can't worship two gods at once. Loving one God, you'll end up hating the other. Keep going. Adoration of one feeds the contempt for the other. You can't worship God and money both. And here's the weird part. You see that word money is capitalized? That is so weird. And so, that just stood out to me as soon as I read that. Why is money capitalized? Money is not a proper noun, right? And so I, I dug into my pastor. I blew off my Greek. I literally, Heather actually came in and was like, "What are you doing?" I had like this Greek analytical book, and then I had the Greek New Testament, and I'm like diving into the textual, trying to figure out what in the world is going on here. Because this is in the Sermon on the Mount, and Jesus talks about ways we miss the mark all the time in the Sermon on the Mount. He talks about lust, but lust isn't capitalized. He talks about mismanaged anger. Anger isn't capitalized. Murder isn't capitalized. Jealousy. He talks about jealousy. Jealousy isn't capitalized. So why is money capitalized? This is so interesting. And so when I dove in there, I found out that it's not. It's capitalized because it never got translated. So Jesus spoke in Aramaic, right? And his words got translated into Greek, all right? And most of the New Testament is in Greek, but occasionally there's an Aramaic word still in there, and it's almost always still in there because it's a name. And so the word that gets translated as money is actually a name. It's mammon. And so I looked up mammon. There's not a lot on this dude. It's actually not a dude. It was an Aramean god of money and wealth. But that still doesn't make any sense to me because Jews were not known for worshiping this god. And so I still haven't quite figured it out, and Cliff and I were going round and round, and I started reading some of the early church fathers, and this is my best guess, okay? I can't say it's exactly this, but this is my best guess, that name for that god got used, even though Jesus' people weren't in the habit of worshiping him, it got used for money because money in particular not money. This is where it's difficult. This is why I think they included the name. Money is neutral. But mammon, or maybe call it greed, takes on this almost personified evil. Now, bear with me for a second here. I'm not saying money's demonic, okay, at all. But the love of money has a way of depersonalizing people in a heartbeat. And you end up caring more about the asset rather than the person. Here's a great example, the mob. How does mobs happen, right? Mobs happen is when a family with money, resources, guns, and big sons go to the neighborhood businesses and says, "Give us money and we'll protect you. Don't give us money and bad things will happen to your store." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So you're depersonalizing a family business, a mom and pop store, for the sake of money, right? How does that happen? That only happens when the good guys who are supposed to stop those kind of things receive what? A bribe. And so they turn their back on the humanity of the neighborhood for money, all right? It happens in the mob, in the neighborhood. It happens in corporate America all the time. I was just type in Roundup, the weed killer, and read about it. Talk about giving the middle finger to humanity for the sake of $1. Unbelievable. And Monsanto, or if anybody works for that seed company, it's amazing you're in church. No. Talk about devaluing human life for the sake of $1. I don't have all the answers, but I think that is a clue to why money is a capital M in the Bible. Because it has an innate ability to whisper that this person is not made in the image of God. You better grab what you can for yourself. And I see it in the mob stories. I read about it in corporate America. And then I hear it from you guys all the time when it comes to things that I do called funerals. Honestly, 2 or 3 times a year, I'll hear someone like, "My brother or sister is not talking to me again." Why? Because of $15,000 worth of furniture? This happens all the stinking time. Money has this insidious way of devaluing a person, not money itself. Money is neutral, mammon, capital M money. This sort of force that whispers, you don't have enough. And basically what it does, and this is why Jesus calls us out in such a strong way, it totally is trying to smoke screen us from this abundant life that Jesus is calling us to, where everything is his. Dive in. The pie will get bigger. God has abundant life for you, and it'll keep getting better the more you open up to him. What's the solution? What's the solution? You want to get rid of the scarcity mindset? There's two practices. There's three tangible things you could do. One, you could start practicing gratitude, naming out loud or writing down the things in your life you're grateful for and thankful for. Things like, wow, I woke up this morning and I got hit with a warm sun, but also cool breeze at the same time, and it made me have the joy of spring, right? Write the things down that you're grateful for. Express gratitude. Gratitude will eat away at scarcity. The other thing is generosity. Generosity, if something is got its tentacles on you and you give it away, it can't have its tentacles on you anymore. And this is a huge misconception. A huge misconception. People think that Jesus calls everybody to poverty. Absolutely not true. Jesus called one man to poverty, a very rich man. There's a story about a very rich man, and Jesus tells him to sell all his possessions and give it to the poor. Why does he do that? He does that because he knows this guy's heart, and he knows it's the one thing that is keeping him from really, truly living. He's so concerned about wealth, so concerned about money, even though he has tons of it. He has what psychologists would define 2,000 years later as situational poverty. Situational poverty is a real diagnosis. You can make $200K and feel like you're poor because your peers have better cars, better vacations, better this, better 3 homes instead of 2 homes, and you could feel poor. And so Jesus knew that this guy was shackled by money, even though he had tons of it. And so he told him, "You want to live? Give all your possessions away." He doesn't say that to everyone. He only says that to one person. It's not a prescription. However, at the same note, you can't be a hoarder and live in the abundant mindset at the same time. When you experience the identity and the security of knowing that you're an heir of God's, and God has invited you into this amazing thing that you were designed for, of bringing prosperity, value, thriving, flourishing in the world in which you live, you can't enter into that and say, mine, 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 mine. You want to get rid of scarcity mindset? Say, God, all right, help me to do this in baby steps because I'm really afraid. And some of you have scarcity mindset for good reason. You grew up in poverty. You didn't know if there would be food on your table or not. Or you had a traumatic financial event, and you don't want that to happen again. Scarcity mindset's no joke. But it's going to keep you from really living and loving. If we can call that list back up really, again, Eric, that abundant mindset. This was not written by Christians. This was written by business people. But look at gratitude, compliment, forgive, admit your wrongs, live intentionally, help others succeed, share control. These are all amazing things that will help us flourish and thrive. Entitlement, criticize, hold grudges, blame will erode our peace. The abundant life brings freedom. Generosity, believe it or not, brings freedom. If we can develop gratitude, if we can develop generosity, and then if we could prioritize people, those 3 things will help scarcity evaporate. If we could see people as people and not look at someone and say, oh, that sucks. And oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to say that on Sunday morning. Strike that from the record, Eric. That stinks. See people as people, not as transactions. And see the possibility that God could be calling you to transform, whether it's generosity of your time, whether it's generosity of your insight, whether it's generosity of your skills, or whether it's generosity of your resources. Gratitude, generosity, and prioritizing people will break us free from that scarcity mindset and help us enjoy the abundance that God has called it into, the adoption that God has called us into. And one feeds the other. Those things will feed our ability to live in abundant faith. But abundant faith will allow us to do those things. And abundant faith is this deep-rooted seed, deep-rooted identity that you are not your own. You're created by God, for God, and you're loved completely, and you're empowered to do amazing things. When you have that as your core, as your foundation, scarcity mindset will begin to peel away. And you begin to see that as I do good and other people do good, the boat just rises. The sea just rises, all the boats rise with it. The pie gets bigger. It's really an amazing thing that we're called to. But so often, we get stuck in this mindset. And maybe the early first century Christians were right. Maybe there's some weird personified evil at work in the love of money that whispers us, forget about them. You need. I'll do some more work, and if I come up with a good, solid answer, I'll let you know. But for now, let me pray for us. Heavenly Father, I thank you for the incredible gift that you give us. I can't fathom how I grew up thinking that the Christian life is just a life of following the rules. And thank you that it's so much different than that you call us into this amazing adventure of life. You provide all we need wherever you call. Help us to trust you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mike. If you please stand, join us and sing our final song today, I Surrender All.
Surrender all to you. I
Go now with this blessing based on Ephesians 5, verses 1 and 2. Since God is so generous with us and infuses the universe with goodness, may we act as conduits of that divine grace. May our lives be marked by compassion. May God's ever-present Spirit encourage and strengthen us as we work to bring out the best in everyone and everything. Amen. Go in peace.